Something was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us, do not comply. Turn off the news, turn off the TV. It's time to think, get off your knees. We tried to warn loved ones, oh did we try? We tried to save lives, but we were denied. Sadly we failed and many of them died. We were kicked to the side, we did not hide. We took to the streets, we would not comply. Our conscience told us this was the world's largest lie. At first we were few, but we shortly grew. Melbourne streets saw sights that had never been seen. We fought for our rights, for all to be free. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights, they would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. We were locked out of cafes, our families withdrew. No Christmas, no birthdays, no celebrations we knew. We were germs, enemies, a danger to you. You watched the counts on mainstream news. No further would you look, we were all cooked. Deluded, brainwashed, segregation we lived through. Whilst you lived your life without any clue. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights, they would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. Something was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us, do not comply.
Good evening, everyone. It's Donna from Mantra Moments, and tonight's guest is Nicole Rhodes. Now, Nicole began her healing journeys and education at the age of 15. In her late 40s, she had a near-death experience. Now she not only works with us mere mortals, she works with animals as well. So let's welcome Nicole. Hi, Nicole. How are you going?
Thank you, Donna.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's spring's finally here, the sun's out, and it's a great time to spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's tell us all about your journey. So you started when you were 15, is that correct?
Yes, my mum bought me a book. It was a Louise Hay book, and it was You Can Heal Your Life. And I had struggled with depression all through my teenage years. And I was 15 when my mum sort of threw that book at me and said, read some stuff. And then we started going to meditation classes. And it wasn't just meditation for relaxation. It was more about learning to know how I worked in the world and learning to know how I worked within my body. And from that age, within that group, we would do community group healings. And I remember I'd be in with the healers. There were readers, psychometry readers, flower readers. And I would be out the back working in pairs with one of the other.
Oh, you've frozen. Well, let's hope she gets back on, guys. I might have to.
It was
Can
that.
You hear me, Nicole? You
yes,
froze. Yeah.
So
That's
it
right.
was through that I learned about my healing abilities. But even before that, I was a young child living with my mum, and mum was basically a farmer. Any time that there were little runt lambs or anything, the farmers would just give her the lamb, she'd raise them and be able to sell them at the market for some money.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I remember she left me in charge of this little lamb. It wasn't meant to survive, and it was on the floor in a rug in front of the fireplace. And mum said, look, I've got to go down the shops. Just stay with the lamb. It's probably not going to make it. It may even die before I get home, but just stay with it and look after it. And I'm, okay, off you go. And I remember sitting beside that lamb, just continually saying, please live, please live, please live. Now, I didn't know about energy healing then. And by the time my mum got home, that lamb was wagging its tail and running around our lounge room.
Oh.
Yeah. So another time we had to go and assist a ewe who had given birth to a lamb, but she'd also got fly strike. So it's not a pretty scene. But it was also pouring with rain because sheep are notorious for having their lambs in the worst possible weather. And I remember it was raining cats and dogs. And in the car, I'm like, oh, this rain needs to stop so that we can help this ewe. And we'd driven down the road through the paddock, parked beside the ewe as close as we could get. We opened the car doors and the rain stopped.
Oh.
We assisted the ewe. We got back in the car and the rain started again. So there was something in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And you were 15 then, is that right? No, you were younger than that.
Well, that was before I was 15. So that was, I don't know how old I was when I was living in the hall. I'm going to take a guess that I may have been between 11, 12, 13.
Yep. Okay.
And then 15 was when I was given the book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And that's when I first started to learn to say that, look in a mirror and I love myself. Before that, I just couldn't do it.
Right.
Just could not do that. And Chrissy Bing was the first meditation teacher I'd ever come across. And she was just such a beautiful soul. And she taught us, or me and everyone else there, so much. It was just a tiny little group. And that got me through the rest of my teenage years. And became a mum, and everything else took a backseat.
Of course, yes, as it does. So what happened when you were in your 40s with the near-death experience?
Again, I had suffered mental illness for basically all of my life, and I've looked at the pattern. It was around about every 10 years my world just came crashing down. And I didn't understand that I had a neurospicy brain back then. I didn't understand how trauma affects the body as much as what it does. I had already started back in 2012 having my spiritual awakening, connecting in with my heart, deep meditations. I was already doing Reconnective Healing then. And I came back to Victoria, and life was like 1,000-foot waterfall. And I just drowned in it. There were circumstances that happened and I couldn't cope. So I hurt myself, and with an intention not to stay here.
Right.
Life was too much for someone who was so sensitive, and my tools weren't working anymore. So let's call it the dark night of my soul.
Right.
And I hung on as long as I could, and until everyone and everything had sort of removed themselves from my life, as what happens with the dark night of the soul. And I remember texting a friend going, I think I need an ambulance. And I put the phone down. I was very in and out of consciousness at that point. And a very audible voice said, "That's not enough." And it was so loud. And I called the ambulance. But before that, the event happened at 8:30 at night. And that phone call, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1, 2:30 in the morning was when that phone call was made. So there was 6 hours with my body processing what I'd done. And I remember going to bed saying a last goodbye to my body. And I was thanking my feet for always being there for every step of my life. And I was thanking my hands for allowing me to touch and hold and feel all the wonderful things in the world. And thank you to my eyes. And I just systematically went through my body. And then I was just in a place of no thing. It was black. There was nothing there, yet I felt completely held. Like when you're in water, laying in water, and someone comes under you and has their hands under your legs and along your spine, and you're in this sort of position. I felt like I was fully held, that I was floating, and that the heat of the sun was shining on my back, and I was just filled with love, so intense that I can't even give you an image description of what that feels like.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. There was nothing scary at all about it. It was the nicest space I've ever been in. And then I heard something. I had an awareness that there was a really loud sound, and it sounded like an engine starting. And I went, "Oh shit, that's my heart." And boom, I was back in my body.
Wow.
And then it was like as if I heard my brain engine switch on. That was a very audible sound, but also they were the same sound. So it was like the heart tissue in our brain and my heart tissue in my chest were synchronizing. And then I was fully back in my body. And that's when I felt like my heart was, what's that, tachycardic?
Yes,
where
yes.
it's that uneven rhythm. And that's when I picked up the phone and the audible voice. And then I dialed the ambulance, and then they came, and the rest is history. At the hospital, they just continued to try and give me more drugs. And I said, no, I need to be awake for this. But my first thought before dialing the phone was, fuck, I've got to pay the rent.
Ah.
Because I'd had no income. I'd lost my job.
Okay.
The job wasn't being very nice. And I was beyond breaking point.
Yes.
And every part of my life had collapsed. And so, yeah, from that moment in hospital, I'd had like 3 bags of liquid NAC IV'd into my body over 16 hours. And then it was 3 days in a psych ward. And then I was sent home by myself with the same container, with the same medication in it that did the deed in the first place, with no follow-up. Great
Wonderful.
job. So there was no follow-up phone calls or anything. I was just on my own. And I built my life back. My brain wasn't functioning very well. I wasn't really able to string a sentence together very well. And so that's where learning about brain plasticity, how neurons that work together, fire together, work together, and all of that sort of things work together, fire together, and how I could actually grow my brain. I was listening to Matt Kahn, love what is, whatever arises, love that. There were so many things that I dove into and was reading that all supported me. I did all the free things that I could because I had no money.
Yes. Yeah.
And I still had to get as functioning as fast as possible and get a job.
Yes.
And from that moment, everything in my life since then, and that was in 2019, has been divinely guided. I went to the job agency, Wise Employment. There was a gentleman named Phil. He was sent by God. He was my
Phil.
angel, Phil.
Phil.
And he got me straight out of hospital. And even Centrelink were just so amazingly helpful to me in that time. Even standing in the queue, I say God a lot. I never used to, but I do now.
Yes.
And I'm in the queue saying, please, God, because, we all know what it's like standing in a queue at Centrelink. It's pretty rough. And you're often not listened to. And I'm, please, God, please have someone on the other side of this counter that is compassionate enough to understand my situation and can get me the help that I need now. There was one person in front of me. They stood to the counter. The lady helped them. Then they went and the lady left and another lady came in. And I just told her I'd gotten out of hospital and why. She sat me down at the table just to the right. She got a social worker to sit with me. And again, they put me in contact with Phil at Wise.
Phil.
And I was driving past a building and that same audible voice said, pull over here, knock on their door. And I just happened to have my resume in a USB stick.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a secure building and it was a speaker thingy at the door. And I said, look, it says you're an education place. I don't know what you do, but I need a job and I need to change my career. Can you help me? And she goes, come on up. And she buzzed me in. We spoke for 5 minutes. She asked me for my resume. And within a week, I had paying work and I've been in that career since then.
Wow. And is that the disability field?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go back to school, get Cert 3 in individual support with aging and disability. And most of the people in the classroom were older age students like myself. And so here's my brain not working very well. I couldn't string a sentence together very well. And I'm like, how am I ever going to remember anything? And her words were, you don't need to know anything right now. Our job is to teach you everything you need to know to secure a job and be best practice in your field by the end of this 11 months.
Yes.
So don't panic right now. Yeah. And
wow.
the rest is history.
What a beautiful story.
And just been supporting myself ever since.
So now let's get into what you do now.
Reconnective Healing.
Mm-hmm.
I do timeline reset, which is not timeline therapy. We're not going back in someone's story. We're uncovering what emotions are there. And then there's Freedom Protocol. So timeline reset is a registered name and it was created by a lady named Emma Romano, who is here in Victoria. And this system, this protocol or timeline reset is supported by IICT, Complementary Therapies Insurance.
Yes.
This is also used in the UK prisons, the American military, Australian sports teams, and Emma goes around to so many places holding events and group speaking that the sport teams that work with her and her husband, because he came on board and learnt what she was teaching, and he coaches women's football.
Oh, okay.
And their success rate. So when we can get to the root cause of something, those big emotions, shame, guilt, hurt, anger, fear, sadness, when we can unlock that and when it was created, we don't have to relive the video, but we just go into the files within the subconscious mind and we change them. It's timeline reset. So remember the old, so I'm showing my age here. Remember in the 80s, we pressed play record button?
Yes.
record the songs on the radio and pause it during the ads. Right?
Yes.
Just think that we had a tape player in our brain, let's use this analogy, and we press play record from 0 to 8. And everything we learned from our parents and our environment and our main caregivers, we have experiences. From the experience, we have an emotion. And from the emotion, we have a belief. We create a belief. And that gets set into that tape recorder, that tape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's like as if the old Nokia block phones, if we were still using one of those, do you think any of the software updates would be compatible with that old block phone? No. So it's time to take that tape out of the tape player, remove the tape player, and put in new software, new programming, new belief systems. And that all comes down to the plasticity of the brain. It's amazing. This has changed people's life so much, but a worst case scenario, without being too graphic, people who harm people have had and gone through sessions of timeline reset. In a jail system,
Yes.
quite a few inmates went through the process. And there was something like a 78% success rate of no reoffending.
Wow. Gosh.
People hurting people stopped. This is how powerful and profound it is. So that structure, that scaffolding, along with Freedom Protocol, which is also Emma Romano teaches that, that extends further. So Timeline Reset deals with big emotions. It's 4 sessions. Freedom Protocol goes far more in depth into other areas and other modalities. Like there's 13 different healing modalities. There's a lot of neuroscience in it. There's a lot of experience that people have throughout it. Those 2 things, Timeline Reset and Freedom Protocol, has been an amazing scaffolding for me to encapsulate my innate gifts of being able to, I'm a very feelings and highly sensitive person. And so when I'm around someone, I can actually feel what they're feeling. I don't take it on. I used to before I learnt the difference. But now it can just sort of knock on the door and go, hey, we're feeling something here, or I'll get an image of something and it might be behind the spine or behind the heart or behind the ribs. And I won't say, I'm feeling this. I'll just bring the person's awareness to, hey, what's happening behind your heart, or what's happening around your chest area? And they tune in and they can tell me what's going on. And one of the experiences was, it feels like there's grey air behind my heart. And that's really interesting. So this is before we even got into Timeline Reset. I was just going through the intake form, and she brought this up. And are you open to exploring? And she's sure, let's do that. So the short version is, a little version of herself, an inner child, was locked in this space behind her heart. And she was able to recall a scenario. She was actually in her bedroom. And I was able to do Timeline Reset on that disowned self that was living in the grey space behind the heart.
So what do you actually do? How does it work?
Well, that's my innate ability.
Right. But it's not hands-on. It's not Reiki either, is it?
No, it's absolutely not Reiki. So, I mean, I'm a Reconnective Healing practitioner, which is not Reiki.
Yes.
And Reconnective Healing has been tested side by side with Reiki and Qigong. So Harvard University, there is two other universities that have tested, measured. There's an image behind me, this one here, electromagnetic field of some sort thingy. And it shows how our electromagnetic field around our body, bioresonance field, can have breaks and holes through it. And reconnective healing can be performed on a person, and they can then do that bioresonance again, and it's a solid field around the human. So this also goes down to the smallest cell in the body. When we look under a microscope, we can see cells that are not very healthy. We can work with reconnective healing, and those cells, the aura around the cell, will become healthy and solid again. It's profound. So working with that, it's a philosophy. It's not an energy modality. But in a conversation, for ease of conversation, we say the modality of reconnective healing. But anyone who knows it knows that it's more of a philosophy. It's a way of being. And when we stop practicing it and doing it, we just become it, so that we have an awareness of what energy we are bringing into a space.
Right.
And that entrains with the person that we are in front of or thinking of. The science also shows that distance, it becomes stronger.
Oh, okay.
They've even tested it with Faraday cages. Someone inside a Faraday cage and someone on the outside. Nothing stops it, because everything is energy.
Wow.
There is a question.
I was just about, can you see that? Can you?
Would it be grief?
If I have lung struggles recently, bronchitis.
Okay.
Would it be a grief emotion? I'm presuming you mean, Jennifer.
Well, we can look at what books talk about, and grief is held in the lungs and can present as bronchitis and things like that, but so can mold.
Yes.
So definitely do your due diligence and research holistically what lung means. The idea that our lung can get ill is, where are we not feeling strong enough in ourself that there is a weakness within us that illness can come in? Remember that image back here? When there are gaps, that is our responsibility to keep our biofield around us strong. That is what we are responsible for, this human vehicle. And if we're not able to take responsibility because no one taught us how to, that's what Freedom Protocol teaches us, how to take responsibility, right? But
so you can do it on yourself. You learn it and you can do it on yourself, rather than going to, we're not medical here, by the way, guys. We're not telling you what to do medically. But
that's it. That's what I'm saying. Do your due diligence. Reconnective healing, we are not diagnosing. We are not fixing ailments. We are not focusing on someone's bronchitis, broken hip, crushed head. We are not connecting to the broken body, because that is that lack mentality. Yes, the fact is that there may be a broken body, but at the risk of losing some people because I'm saying the word God, we are not God. And God's plan is greater than what my ego can imagine, right? So if this person has found themselves in a bad way, there must be some other purpose, a redirection, a refocus. And if we never know where to look inwards. That's what this philosophy teaches us. Look inwards. Right. Connect with nature. Touch a tree. Science shows that within 10 minutes of touching a tree, it has completely recalibrated our whole energetic circuit. It's amazing. Everything we need is already out there. And Eric Pearl, so this is the Reconnection, the book.
I can, Alex.
Is that upside down? No, it just looks
No,
back
no,
front.
no. Yeah. No, it's
And
fine.
he talks about, what was I just going to say? That we're not diagnosing, we're not focusing on the illness itself, but we are connecting to the most purest form of this soul. And with that, an entrainment happens, a remembering happens, and of how to be our purest self. And in that, spontaneous healings happen.
Right.
And it's so beautiful. So if anyone wants to learn it and read the book,
Yes,
by the end of the book, you are feeling the frequencies in your hand. You have dialed your station to universal intelligence. And that space that is between you and me across the screen, across the lands, wherever you may be, it's not empty. People think, oh, it's got air, it's, there's air. But science has shown there's quarks and quarks bouncing in and out of reality, bouncing in and out of cells. They appear and then they disappear, just like that.
Right.
And wherever they're going, there is no bills, there is no stress, and they bring that entrainment into our reality. Energy is flowing in and out of our body all the time. And when we do this, maybe a car accident, maybe some trauma, fallen off a horse, or just stuck in your head with dark thoughts, that energy gets trapped and it can't get out. And it might land down in our knee. It might land in our lungs. It might land in our shoulder. And it becomes discomfort and disease. And when we entrain with the frequencies of universal intelligence, it too, whatever is stuck in our body, goes, oh, that's right. And it's able to find a way out. I'll give you a visual example. Would you like that?
Yes, please.
Let's talk bugs, insects.
Well,
European wasp. They can be nasty buggers. Great pollinators, but they can be nasty. I had one in my house in Queensland. And you know how blowflies, flies, wasps, bees, they will just bang their head continuously against the window going, I can't get out, I can't get out, I can't get out. And I wonder if. So I felt for it. I found it. And even when I just do this now, my toes tingle. And I stretched that frequency until I could feel it. And then my intention was not at, oh, that poor wasp that's stuck in my house. My intention was there is a clear path and you will find it. You've already found it.
Yes.
And that wasp came straight out, went along, went across and out the door.
Right.
There was no more banging along the window. It had a clear path. I've done it with geckos, a bird, a beautiful green parrot in Queensland. There was cats converging on it. And I'm looking out my window and my cat's looking at it and I'm like, oh, no. So I ran outside, got it, and I had to keep it at my home for one day until the nature people were available. Our wildlife, birds, whatever it was called. And they said, just keep it in a closed cage until you can bring it in tomorrow. And I'm okay. So I put it on a branch. I did reconnective healing, felt for it, stretched it, focused on the bird and its wellness, not its illness, its wellness. And I gave it 3 or 4 sessions in that time. And then when I took it, I followed up a few days later and they said, the bird fell out of the nest, it got a broken wing, that can heal. However, why does a bird fall out of a nest? And so they investigated. The bird had a blood disorder that happens with birds sometimes, and they never survive from it. It's fatal. And what the vet couldn't understand was how clean the break and the wound was, and it had already started healing, and that this blood disease within a week had completely left the bird.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
But I do have a story about a person and a car accident if you'd like me to share it.
Yes, absolutely.
We had some friends who had a daughter who was very active with the Scouts. And Dad was driving the car and Dad fell asleep at the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
There's no blame here. It's an accident that happened.
Yes.
It is what it is. We can't change the past. They hit that tree at 120 kilometres an hour head on. And the girl, who was 12, was in the front passenger seat with her seatbelt on. And the impact, and I'm sorry if anyone out there has experienced this and if that triggers something, but there is a good ending to this, okay? That they hit that car with such force that her eye left her skull and the seatbelt crushed her hips. And when the ambulance got to them, they rushed them to the hospital, and within 2 hours, I was called into the hospital. Can you help our daughter? And I'm, oh my God, of course I will do my best. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not diagnosing. I can't fix a break. It's not about the illness, the breaks, the hurt. But I will bring in these frequencies. I'll bring our awareness to them, and we'll see what happens. Now, I was working with her. I got extremely dizzy. I wanted to vomit, and I realized, oh, that's not me. She's on a lot of medication. Once I could recalibrate that and realize that wasn't me, she then was in and out of consciousness. There was little twitches in her eyes, which I could see that she was in. And then she said, after it goes for half an hour. So in half an hour, she had said, Mummy, it's working, it's working. And she's, what, love? What's happening? And she goes, I'm weeing. And she's, that's beautiful. And the mum started crying. What I didn't know was that little girl's bladder was so crushed and now swollen that they could not get a catheter in her, and that all those toxins were now building up in her bladder, and it was creating so much pain that they had to sedate her so badly. But working in the frequencies, her bladder gave way gracefully and relieved that pressure so that they didn't need to put a catheter in.
Wow.
I didn't know that that little girl was only given a 5% chance of survival. And she went on to join her team at Scouts. It took a long time, and she had to wear glasses, but she was able to see out both eyes. They were able to put that back in her head. And the breaks healed a lot faster than expected. And her trauma from that was very minimal. That's the power of reconnective healing. It's not about fixing. It's about bringing the body back to homeostasis, to neutral, where there is no stress, disease, or discomfort. Her father was in the room opposite. And he had broken arms and broken legs, and I called a nurse in to watch, and I was working on him. And it was like, now his legs were in the bed, and it was like as if someone invisible picked up his leg and straightened it outside of the bed sheets. And the nurse was looking like, what is going on? And it was like as if someone was manipulating his body back into alignment. Because reconnective healing realigns us back to the way that we truly are. It removes the distortion. Anything that is not this higher frequency will fall away. And then we have timeline reset and freedom protocol that helps us to then readjust our belief system so we don't go back into the same habits.
Okay, right. So that's where the protocol comes in.
The protocol is a structure and a scaffolding. You know, I don't always have to do reconnective healing. Just by being it and understanding I am it, that frequency entrainment is already happening without me having to do it. And that's why I can focus on Freedom Protocol, which is very more mind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go and do some other energy things as well. But it's more about the belief system, the emotions, dealing with the big emotions, dealing with the belief systems.
Because you don't, I just did a little bit of reading on it. I haven't had a chance to deep dive into it, but I did read that you actually don't even have to know what is wrong with someone or what their issue is. And it's even better if you don't know. Is that correct?
That is correct. Because if we do know, our little brain, our ego will go, I want to help. We want to rescue. We don't want someone to feel pain. But what if instead of sending healing to the person who was feeling pain, we focus on the person who is so concerned, and we bring them to a state of accepting and allowing that person to have their experience without the need to rescue. We can send prayers, we can send love, we can absolutely send healings.
Yes.
Lots of parents say, can you do reconnective healing on my kids? They're being so naughty. They're just, oh my God. But I would invite the parent to experience reconnective healing for themselves, to bring their self back to their neutral space of love, compassion, and understanding, to love their child where they're at. And when we can regulate ourselves, our child can come up to us and recharge, because that's what we are as parents. That's our job.
Yes.
And then from our own regulation, they can then become regulated. Through seeing us becoming responsible for our nervous system and our human vehicle, they learn and mimic and become that themselves. So who do we need to fix?
Ourselves.
Yes. And some would even say, but do we really need to fix? Because when we say no to something over here, we're saying yes to something else over here. And the no had to happen. The experience had to happen for the redirect.
Right.
We don't know why someone falls asleep at the wheel, what God's plan was for that. And it seems unimaginable that a soul would want to create that experience. Our little self just can't comprehend that. So we need to be in a space of compassion for ourselves, to go, I don't know how to love this right now. And be in that space, because it stops us from being locked. I don't get it. I don't get it. But when we say, I don't know how to love this right now.
When you're saying love this, are you talking about yourself?
The situation
or
the situation.
Yes. Okay.
You know, so if someone's had something catastrophic happen, yeah, I don't know how to love this situation. I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't have words for this situation. This person is so broken. How do I help them? I don't know how to help them. I don't know how to love this situation. And in that, there is love.
Right.
And we can do some tapping on that. This situation is really horrible. I don't know how to love this situation. I feel really gutted. I feel powerless. Hopeless and powerless is where most of the problems come from.
Yes.
Power is taken away from us.
Yes. especially in our times now. I mean, in any times, but I think that's sort of a lot of us feel like that now. Yes.
Yeah. And so these three things that I hang out with all the time really do help to bring things into perspective. It helps us for self-responsibility, moving out of victim into responsibility,
Yes.
and being able to grab a book, listen to the audio, or grab a book and read it, unlocks that frozenness in our brain that's gone like sand in a cog.
Yes.
And it frees it up just by reading any kind of book that is about connecting to self. We don't have to understand how to do that, because many people are just at the beginning stages of that and they don't get it and they can't afford lots of things. So I will let you know there is so much free stuff out there. Get an audio book from Matt Kahn. Whatever arises, love that is so powerful. So powerful. Do you have any questions?
I actually want to do the course. I have been looking at it. So yes,
Yeah.
it sounds amazing. So if anyone does want to do the course, is it just online, or do you teach, or where do you?
The only people who are allowed to teach is Eric Pearl, Gillian Fleur, which is Eric's partner, and
Oh,
there
okay.
is a teaching team, which is now not in America. I think it's in Italy, I think. The
Right.
Italian team have taken it over. I may be wrong about that, but Eric Pearl has sort of stepped back just a little bit. But I learned this way back in 2014 when it had to be in person. So there's the
Okay.
reconnection, which is the healing modality or the way of being. And then that's reconnective healing. And then there is the reconnection, which is a once in a lifetime thing. It's only 2 sessions and it sort of takes you from this timeline onto a new timeline. Your life falls apart and new things come in. And if you don't know how to deal with distortion, it's going to be a pretty bumpy ride.
Do you have to do both of them together?
No, I have not trained to do the reconnection. I only wanted to do reconnective healing. There is a lady in Sydney, New South Wales, Sydney, Julie Jarrah is the sort of everyone around Australia has sort of put Julie in the leader's seat for Australia.
Right.
When it comes to reconnective healing. And she is a mentor that can help the people who have done the reconnection training to re-credential every 2 years. So she takes them through that. They have to keep resitting it every 2 years to make sure that they are staying with the purest version of this. Reconnective healing, we don't use crystals. I'm not poo-pooing on crystals. Crystals are awesome. Rocks are great. Crystals are great. Sage is great. All of those things are wonderful. But reconnective healing says, when are you ready to take off your training wheels? Training wheels for Reiki, training wheels for Qigong, practice, 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 become master, master, master. Training wheels for how to use sage, training wheels for how to use crystals. At what point do you realize that you are enough and stop taking away from yourself and realize that you are this, you are the remembrance of all of this? And as Eric says, anyone can be given a violin and make a sound from it. But there's only a small percentage who choose to become a master of it and really embody it and create beautiful music. Reconnective healing is kind of like that. Anyone can learn it. Not everyone goes on to be a practitioner of it and has a business with it. So if you read the book, by the end page, You are a reconnective healing, a person who can perform reconnective healing on your friends, family, and your animals. But if you want to do a business, you actually have to go and do level 2, which teaches the ethics of business, what your responsibilities are as far as insurance. We are not allowed to use the word "it cures" the
Yes.
C word. That can land you in court with a very hefty fine.
Mm.
However, we have all seen people who have had tumours reduce or disappear.
Okay. Yes.
So the reconnective healing practitioner was not focusing on shrinking something. It was focusing on the highest, purest version of this person, watching them dance in their imagination and that they are well.
Mm.
And with that, the entrainment takes place. And the distortion, the disease, the discomfort is not a vibrational match to this, and it falls away. Chaos cannot refind itself when we dismantle it. Only truth can. And Greg Braden talks about that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
So,
beautiful.
how much time do we have left?
You've got about 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Maybe
Would you like to feel the frequencies of the frequency and the vibration, the energy, light, and information that is reconnective healing, universal intelligence?
Yes.
So I'm going to get you to close your eyes. That way there's no distraction. Are you okay with closing your eyes?
I am. I'm just keeping my eye on the time. So
All right. So I'm feeling for it. Now, if you feel something, just speak it out in real time, okay?
Close
So
your eyes.
I find it. I focus on you. And there's not much to see. I'm just stretching. And just notice what you notice. Maybe some people watching may feel something. They may feel the absence of something. People think that it's often an addition, but it's often something being removed. And now, if I stop, do you notice a difference? Donna.
Sorry. I get involved. My body it felt like it was just going like this.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
Was there anyone that was watching, noticing within themselves? From scurry to still. I don't know what that means, Alexander.
No, me either.
Timelessness. Well, that's it. Reconnective healing is outside of time and space. I have been sat on a chair at a training of Timeline Reset, and I was a body just on a chair so someone could practice their skills.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she connected in with me, it was like, and every bit of color out of the room disappeared. There was no people, but I could still hear all the noises, and I saw all of these energetic signatures everywhere. And I'm like inside my brain going, wow. And then another person had me on the table and she was practicing the reconnection and all the points on the body. And I was bursting with laughter. I could not contain myself because whatever was happening, the energy was bringing out this joy in me and it was uncontrollable.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Except I'd probably wet myself if I laughed too much. So too much information, I know. Oh, that sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful.
Thank you for letting me share. I love this work. It's so profound.
Yes. What's this say? Sorry. Perfect. Saw yellow electric's back of eyes.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
And that's it.
Wow.
Peaceful is our natural state.
Yeah.
And so many people forget that.
Hmm.
When we remove all the distortion and all the things and the jewelries and the
Yes.
we are just in our own space.
So it's sort of I've totally lost what I was going to say now because someone's made a joke. Yes, sorry. Totally forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
If people would like to connect with me,
yes,
or any Reconnective Healing practitioner around Australia, there is a registry on the Reconnection website, which Donna is going to put in the link somewhere.
Oh, is that the link that you gave me?
Or just the reconnection.com. www.thereconnection, that word, .com. You'll see Eric's face, but he's got white hair now. Yes, and or you can just book with me. I'm located in Frankston, but it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I've worked with people all in different places of the planet. It makes no difference. I've worked with horses, people, children, cats, insects, flies. There is no end to it.
Beautiful. We do have to go. So maybe you can send me your details because we actually haven't done that, have we? So if you can send your details and I can put it up if anyone wants it, just contact me, please. Okay.
I did send it in the email to you.
Well, I haven't had a chance to put that up. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, so I've got it. So just contact me. All right. We do have to go because I think Michael's on at 8:00 and we have to do our outro. So thank you so much. Mwah. Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. Ciao. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that, everyone. And oops, we've got a couple. Okay, we'll have to go. Have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Something was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us do not comply. Turn off the news, turn off the TV. It's time to think, get off your knees. We tried to warn loved ones, oh did we try? We tried to save lives, but we were denied. Sadly we failed and many of them died. We were kicked to the side, we did not hide. We took to the streets, we would not comply. Our conscience told us this was the world's largest lie. At first we were few, but we shortly grew. Melbourne streets saw sights that had never been seen. We fought for our rights, for all to be free. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights, they would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. out of cafes, our families withdrew. No Christmas, no birthdays, no celebrations we knew. We were germs, enemies, a danger to you. You watched the counts on mainstream news. No further would you look, we were all cooked. Deluded, brainwashed, segregation we lived through, whilst you lived your life without any clue. People thrown to the ground, pepper spray to the face. No matter what age, we were locked up and caged. Then the guns came out, they had no care. They shot their own people, running in fear, unarmed and peaceful. We stood for our rights. They would not stop us. We would not give up the fight. Something was wrong, we felt it inside. Something told us, do not comply.